2 sessions ago, we read the following letter.
Dear Greg, my stepdaughter Michelle works for our family business, mostly because it makes my wife Brenda happy. But she's a lousy employee. More days than not, she's late getting to work, and when she's here, she's uncooperative about almost everything she's asked to do. I have to remind her about every assignment she's given, which makes the job more stressful to me, and her attitude affects other employees.
In our last 2 sessions, I suggested that Michelle isn't the problem. You are. As long as you fear losing the approval of your stepdaughter or your wife, you'll be blinded and unable to love and teach your stepdaughter as she needs. I also suggested that you ask Brenda, your wife, for her support as you try to teach Michelle some responsibility. But what if Brenda refuses? What if she's so afraid of losing her daughter's approval that she can only let Michelle act like a victim here? Then you pretty much have 2 options. First, you could give in to your wife's fears and demands and never talk to Michelle about her behavior at work. In the short term, that might be the easier course. You'd certainly avoid the displeasure of Michelle and Brenda for a moment, but what would be the long-term results? When people manipulate you to get what they want, which is what Brenda is doing here with you, they never feel loved unconditionally as a result. They only experience a very brief relief from their emptiness and fear using imitation love. So the bottom line here is that if you just allow your stepdaughter to be irresponsible out of fear of your wife's reaction, you'll experience at least 4 results. First, you won't really make her happy. Second, you'll achieve a very temporary peace in your marriage. Third, you'll cause long-term injury to the happiness of your stepdaughter. And fourth, you'll also experience many negative effects in your business as your employees see the double standard that you apply to your stepdaughter. So, what's the second choice? You could explain to your wife that you feel strongly about this issue and that you have a business to run, and you just have to move forward with holding her accountable. Tell her that your daughter simply must conform to the same standards that everyone else follows, and if she doesn't, you will fire her. Your wife might be angry, but if so, that would just be a continuation of the conditional love that she's already shown toward you, so you won't really lose anything. I understand why you'd be afraid to move ahead without Brenda's approval, but imagine that you had cancer, and the doctor told you that a certain kind of therapy was required to save your life, but Brenda disapproved. Would you not get the treatment and lose your life just to please Brenda, knowing that doing what she wanted wouldn't make her happy anyway? You're in that situation here. Michelle is having a cancerous effect on your business, and she's hurting herself. Somebody has to act. And if Brenda won't support you, isn't it worth doing the right thing anyway? Now let's suppose that you have chosen to speak to Michelle. What can you say? Let me give you just one approach. You might say something like this: Michelle, I've made a big mistake as your stepfather and as your employer. When you don't do what's expected of you here at work, I just let it go instead of holding you accountable as I do with every other employee here. Without meaning to, I've been teaching you to be irresponsible, and I apologize for that. This is hurting both you and the company. Then you explain to her exactly what is required of her as far as punctuality, quality of performance, and so on, and describe in detail exactly what will happen if she doesn't conform to those standards. Tell her what kind of performance will get her fired, and if she meets these criteria, you must let her go. As you talk with her, if you are the least bit impatient or irritated, you will lose in a big way. The moment you're annoyed, all she will feel is a lack of love from you. And then that's the only message she'll take from your meeting. If she's defending herself from the intolerably painful feeling of not being loved, she'll learn nothing whatever about responsibility. I suggest that you practice this conversation with your wife or someone else so you can do it with ease and a genuine concern for her well-being. Even if you talk with your stepdaughter in a loving way, it's still possible that she'll be angry. You must be willing to accept that. And then you must show her every day that you love her. If you fire her, be careful that you don't avoid her physically or emotionally, or be impatient with her. As you consistently love her, she will eventually feel that and be grateful for your love and your guidance. What she wants from you most is your love. It's always about real love.